You think her chaos is the problem. The tears, the yelling, the storm of emotions that blindsides you mid-conversation. You brace for impact every time her tone shifts. You go silent, or you lash back, or you shut down completely. And somewhere inside, a voice says, "She's unstable. I can't do this. She's too emotional. This is toxic." But let me ask you something that most men never pause to consider. What if the real chaos isn't coming from her? What if the chaos is your reaction to her emotion, not her emotion itself? See, modern culture teaches men that emotion is danger, that when a woman is emotional, she's unpredictable, unsafe, manipulative, and that your job is to either fix it, avoid it, or escape it. But solar masculinity doesn't operate like that. Solar masculinity doesn't fear chaos, it integrates it. It doesn't flee from fire, it becomes fireproof. And this is where most men fail. Not because they're bad, but because they were trained to interpret feminine emotion like a threat instead of a language. Her emotion is not random. It's not drama. It's not designed to punish you. It's a signal, a test of presence. A woman's storm is never about the words she says. It's about what your nervous system does in response. And that right there, that's the real game. Let me paint the scene. She comes in heated. Something triggered her. Maybe it's something you did. Maybe it's something she saw. Maybe it's ancestral, hormonal, lunar, or totally unspoken. You try to stay calm, logical, grounded. But under that calm, you're clenching your jaw. You're crafting your exit. You're waiting for the explosion to end so you can breathe again. That's not calm, that's covert fear. And she feels it in her bones. Now here's the punch. She doesn't need you to agree. She doesn't need you to apologize. She doesn't even need you to fix the issue. She needs one thing only: a man who can hold emotional fire without becoming ash. That's the test, not in words, in resonance, in embodied frequency. When she spirals, most men either 1. Fight back, trying to match her intensity with masculine logic or control. 2. Flee, physically or emotionally, retreating behind a wall of silence or distance. 3. Fix, attempting to soothe, pacify, or make her feelings disappear. All three responses fail. Not because she's ungrateful, not because she's manipulative, but because none of those responses come from true energetic leadership. Let me explain. Fighting her creates more polarity, but not the kind that builds intimacy. It generates fear, not safety. Fleeing her signals weakness, that her emotion has more power than you do. Fixing her neuters the masculine, because you position her emotion as a problem, not a valid expression of energy. But what happens when you stand still? What happens when you let the emotional wave wash over you? And you don't flinch, not numb, not stone cold, not fake calm, but fully present, fully aware, fully in your body, fully connected to your core truth. You say less, you breathe deeper, you hold eye contact, you feel your own spine, and without saying a word, you transmit, "I'm not leaving, I'm not collapsing, I'm not controlling you, I'm just here." That, brother, is how a storm finds its eye. That's how a woman remembers she's safe. That's the moment her nervous system resets, not because you saved her, but because you stopped reacting like she was your enemy. And this is where it gets deeper. Feminine energy isn't chaotic to destroy the masculine. It's chaotic because it needs polarity to self-regulate. Her storms aren't the problem. They're her unconscious way of asking, "Can you hold me through this without breaking?" She doesn't want to break you. She wants to meet the part of you that can't be broken. Because if your calm only exists when she's smiling, that's not calm, that's convenience. If your presence only activates when she's soft and loving, that's not presence, that's performance. She needs to know, will you stay clear even when I lose my clarity? Will you stay grounded when I lose my center? Will you love without needing me to be perfect first? Not because she deserves it, not because she's right, but because you chose to be a man who stands rooted in truth, not triggered by emotion. The reason so many relationships die quietly, not because there's no love, but because there's no one home in the masculine body when emotion enters the room. Presence disappeared, leadership dissolved. The mountain became mud, and the feminine will not stay where the masculine collapses. Let's get something clear. Being grounded doesn't mean being passive. Being still doesn't mean being silent. Being calm doesn't mean being a doormat. Solar masculinity is not about tolerating bullshit. It's about discerning the energy behind the chaos and responding from truth, not programming. There are two ways a man can meet a storm. One, he collapses into emotionally fused reaction, making her storm about him. Two, he expands into embodied awareness, staying separate but connected, grounded in truth. You can love her without absorbing her. You can see her pain without becoming it. You can meet her fire without throwing gasoline on it or running from the heat. But here's where most men go wrong. They mistake collapse for compassion. They believe holding space means abandoning their own center to soothe hers. They believe leadership means constant emotional labor. Let me tell you what solar leadership really looks like in those moments. Here is the solar response versus matrix reaction. She says, "You don't care about me, you never listen." Matrix reaction. "What are you talking about? I always listen. Don't be so dramatic." Solar response. Pauses, breathes. "I hear that you're not feeling seen right now. Talk to me. I'm here." She yells, "I can't take this anymore. You always shut down." Matrix reaction. Shuts down more, walks away, or gets defensive. Solar response. "You're right. I've shut down in the past when I felt overwhelmed, but I'm not running now." She spirals. "Maybe we're just not meant to be." Matrix reaction. "Fine. If that's what you think, then leave." Solar response. "I don't agree with that, and I'm not throwing this away. But I'm not going to argue. Let's come back to center first. Do you feel the difference? It's not about the words, it's about the vibration behind them. Solar responses carry zero anxiety, zero need for control, zero threat. Just presence, boundary, and signal. And that presence does what no apology can. It regulates the field. You become the lighthouse in the storm, not her savior, not her opponent. Just a clear signal. Now here's the deeper truth no one's saying. Most men can't hold feminine chaos because they haven't faced their own. Her fire triggers the parts of you that are still unprocessed. She raises her voice, and suddenly your childhood wounds flare up. Your nervous system collapses. Your mind starts spinning. This feels like my mom. This reminds me of my ex. This is why I don't trust women. Pause, breathe, notice. She's not doing anything to you. She's revealing what's already unhealed inside of you. This is what we call the mirror function of feminine chaos. She mirrors your unresolved inner world, not to punish you, but to give you a chance to transmute it. This is why masculine work begins before the relationship. If you haven't met your own grief, anger, helplessness, and shame, she will. And she'll pull it out of you in the most uncomfortable ways possible. Not because she wants to, because your connection is energetic, and energy exposes everything. Now let's flip the polarity for a second. Yes, you hold space. Yes, you anchor. Yes, you let her release. But you don't abandon your clarity in the process. Holding space is not the same as becoming her therapist. Being calm is not the same as being spineless. Solar masculinity knows how to lovingly redirect chaos, not absorb it. If she's lashing out with blame, projection, or disrespect, you stop the loop. You say, "I'm here, but I won't receive that tone. I love you, but I don't allow shouting in this space. I can talk about what's real, not what's being thrown out to hurt." And then you go still, not punishing, not angry, not flinching, just anchored. This is how she feels the perimeter of your kingdom, not with force, with frequency. You're not suppressing her emotion. You're offering a container for it. The same way a river needs a bank to keep from flooding the village. Feminine energy is creative, but it's chaotic by nature. Emotion, movement, waves, storms. It needs structure to become something, just like water needs a cup, just like electricity needs a circuit. You are that cup. You are that circuit. If your nervous system leaks, she floods. If your boundaries blur, she spirals. But when you hold stillness with integrity, something magical happens. Her chaos trusts you, and when a woman's chaos trusts you, she melts, she softens, she surrenders. Not because you forced her, but because your energy said, "You're safe to release. I'm not going anywhere. But I'm not letting you destroy either." That's polarity. That's form. That's love in its highest masculine expression. Let's talk discipline, not performance, not showmanship. Inner discipline. The kind no one sees but everyone feels. Solar presence doesn't come from reading books or watching content. It comes from training your nervous system to remain unmoved by chaos. You can't fake groundedness. You can't pretend to be unbothered when your system is screaming. You either are that man, or you become him through fire. Let me give it to you real. You don't rise into your solar core when things are easy. You rise when you're tested, and you refuse to abandon yourself. That's the edge where masculine leadership is forged, and that edge can only be held if you have practice. Here are the daily practices of solar masculinity. These are non-negotiable if you want to stay rooted in truth, especially around a strong feminine energy. 1. Cold exposure. Learn to meet intensity without resistance. The cold is chaos in elemental form. When you breathe into it, instead of fighting it, you're reprogramming your body to stay present under stress. This is how you train the primal brain to remain available during emotional storms. 2. Stillness, every morning. Before you touch your phone, your work, your partner, sit in silence. 10 minutes, no distractions. Just breath, presence, awareness. This recalibrates your system to lead from response, not reaction. 3. Strength training, not for aesthetics, for energetic integrity. Masculine energy is directional, it needs structure. Lifting teaches your body what form feels like, and when your body remembers form, your psyche follows. 4th edge practice, put yourself in controlled discomfort daily. It could be a cold shower, an intense workout, saying something you've been avoiding. Each time you lean into the edge, you signal to your nervous system, "I don't flinch in the face of pressure, I meet it." Without these practices, your words will collapse when tested. Your presence will flicker. Your leadership will feel performative. That's when the chaos takes over. Not because she's trying to overpower you, but because you weren't anchored enough to hold the field. She doesn't trust your mind, she trusts your presence. And presence is earned through consistency, not charisma. Most men walk around with outdated software. They were trained by soft culture and absent fathers. They were taught to be good boys, not sovereign beings. So when they meet a strong woman, or any stormy emotion, they collapse into one of three matrix defaults. 1. The pleaser avoids conflict, over-explains, chases comfort, loses attraction. 2. The reactor fights back, raises his voice, projects blame, escalates chaos. 3. The ghost withdraws, becomes passive-aggressive, shuts down emotionally. None of these hold polarity, none of these protect the field, none of these are solar. Let's reprogram. Old script, if I stay calm, she'll come back. Solar script, I stay calm because I am the storm's counterbalance. Whether she comes back or not is not the reason, it's the result. Old script, I have to make her feel better. Solar script, I'm not here to fix, I'm here to hold. Old script, if I show how much I care, she'll feel safe. Solar script, she feels safe in my direction, not my devotion. Can you feel the shift? You don't lead with emotion, you lead with energy. What holding space actually means. Let's be practical. Holding space isn't a spiritual buzzword, it's an embodied skill set. And here's what it looks like. You sense the rising tension in her before she even speaks. You slow your breath and anchor the room. You keep your body relaxed but alert. You listen without interrupting. You reflect only the essence of what's true, not every single detail she throws. You speak when the space is open, not when you're trying to defend. And if the energy turns disrespectful or chaotic beyond containment, you lovingly redirect the flow. You say, I want to hear you, when we can both stay in truth. This energy doesn't serve either of us right now. Let's come back when it does. I care too much about this connection to let it spin out. And then you honor your own line. She may resist, she may test, but her nervous system will feel the edge, and trust will begin to rebuild. Not through pleasing, through presence. Let's drop the theory. Let's go where it actually matters. Relationships you're already in. It's easy to sound wise in isolation, but can you stay sovereign in a love that tests you daily? Can you hold your core in a long-term dynamic, especially when the polarity starts to unravel? Because here's the real game. Attraction is easy. Sustained polarity takes energetic mastery. You've probably felt this. The fire that once roared between you two now feels like a quiet roommate agreement. No more spark in her eyes, no more edge in your presence. You're polite, safe. She's distant, cold. You try to reconnect. She shrinks. And here's the dangerous moment. You start working harder on the wrong things. You bring more flowers. You open up even more. You plan surprises. But her body doesn't respond. Why? Because it's not your effort she craves. It's your energetic command. She doesn't want to be impressed. She wants to be felt. And if she starts leading the emotional tone of the relationship, that spark will die. Not because she doesn't love you, but because her body doesn't trust you anymore. Restoring the polarity field doesn't require domination. This isn't about taking power back. It's about becoming the gravitational center again. Here's how you restore the masculine charge. 1. Stop explaining. Start demonstrating. When you explain your emotions in circles, she enters analysis mode. But when you feel deeply and move clearly, she feels you again. 2. Lead the energy first. If the room is tense, breathe slower. If she's spinning out, get grounded. If she's confused, hold direction. She's not testing you because she hates you. She's testing to feel if you're still there. 3. Reclaim the rituals. Lead the rhythm of your connection. Set the space. Create the containers. Be the one who says, let's pause, let's breathe, let's reset. She'll melt into that frame if it's embodied. 4. Don't collapse when she's in her storm. Let her storm move. Let her chaos speak. But you stay rooted. Not to dominate her, to create a field of safety that isn't passive. She doesn't want to fix you. She wants to lean into you. In long-term love, the true masculine leads with frequency. Don't lead with romance, lead with energy. Every man who has led a relationship from devotion alone has eventually watched it die. Because devotion without direction becomes neediness, and polarity dies the moment you stop being a mountain. Here's what long-term masculine love looks like in solar frequency. You don't react to every mood. You let her express without trying to fix it. You welcome her chaos without becoming it. You surprise her not with gifts, but with your depth. You stay mysterious not to manipulate, but because you keep evolving. She stays magnetized because she can't predict your every move. Not because you're hiding, but because you're alive. You're not a therapist. You're not a puppy. You're not her mirror. You're a pillar. So here is the final integration. Her chaos is not a threat. It's an invitation. When you stop fearing her fire, you realize it's a gift. She doesn't want to destroy your peace. She wants to see if it's real. She doesn't want a boy she can control. She wants a man she can orbit. She doesn't need you to be perfect. She needs to feel your presence through the storm. That is masculine mastery. That is solar love. If this transmission spoke something ancient into you, if you feel the fire rising again in your chest, then don't just think about it. Move. Drop a comment and let me know what hit the deepest. Subscribe for more transmissions that awaken your solar truth. Tap the link in the description to join the movement. Let's wake up a generation of men who remember who they are. Because she's not waiting for your text. She's waiting for your gravity. And that begins now. Welcome to Solar Love Frequency, where love is the truth.